Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Today's live is all about having a clear out and producing no landfill waste. So January is that kind of time of year. Well, I always find that I want to downsize what I've got, make sure that I am keeping a hold of things that are actually useful for me. And in days gone by, I would have always ended up chucking some things in landfill waste when I was doing a clear out. But obviously when I started living zero waste and really questioning the whole life cycle of a product, so when I was buying anything new or even if it was secondhand, really thinking about where that product started, like how it was made, where it's shipped from, and then thinking all the way through to the end of its life. So I no longer felt like I could cut it by just being like, oh, there's some stuff that I don't know what to do with, pop it in the black bin. So I have gone through different things that I always find I accumulate and then have to get rid of. And these things are items which I tried to go for non-typical items, because obviously there are certain things where you're like, well, I know what to do with that. Like I know how to reuse it or repurpose it, recycle it, all of those sorts of things. But I wanted to give you some ideas of things that are a little bit more unusual. Hi Barbara, thanks for joining me. So yeah, just before we begin though, I've got a update about a pair of jeans. So I've got some new jeans. Well, they're not actually new, they're new to me. So I have had a previous pair of jeans for literally years, and they were getting a bit tight, and it's not just because of Christmas, they had been a bit tight beforehand. So I've previously mentioned the clothing app, secondhand clothing app Depop on here. What I did was I went on Depop and I found the exact same pair of jeans, like as in I knew that I liked the cut. I wasn't so fussed on the colour, but I knew I liked the cut, and I knew the size of jean that didn't fit me anymore, basically. So what I did was I bought a second-hand pair, one size up. And now that this new to me pair, is not new, so it's second-hand, now that's arrived, I can sell the other pair. And the reason why I like doing that as opposed to donating lots of stuff to a charity shop is that you're giving your items a purpose and you're still valuing them. So yeah, it's not just like I'm just going to dump a load of clothes in a charity shop and not think about them again. And whilst you may think, oh Charlotte, that's really insensitive because you're giving your clothes away and you're helping them with their cause, I totally do agree with that. But we actually have a real big fast fashion problem in the UK, and roughly 9 to 10% of all the clothes that we donate actually get sold in the UK. Majority of that clothing gets shipped out to countries like Haiti, and they just have absolutely mounds of clothes where they're trying to sell them to each other, but a lot of it is just basically textile landfill waste. So I found out about that watching The True Cost, which is a really great film all about fast fashion, about the problems of fast fashion, but then also what we can do to be more of a conscious consumer. So I really recommend that film. Okay, I am going to go through 9 different items now, and where you can recycle them or where you can donate them to give them a second life. So yeah, I'm trying to steer away from just typical pop it in your recycle bin or donate it to a charity shop. While some of the suggestions are like a donation suggestion, you're giving them to someone with a purpose. So as in they have asked for those items. Let me get into it and you should start to understand what I'm getting at with this. So item number 1, bras. So 50%, if they want to, of the population wear bras, and you know, I am someone who doesn't own a whole heap of them, but obviously if they're an item that you're wearing every day or most of the time, they wear out after a while. And because of bras, how many different components there are in a bra. So they actually have 32 different components. Remember that from my A-levels. They have 32 different components make up a bra. So I'm on about like the straps and the hooks and the underwiring. All of these different components mean that it's something that you can't really just recycle in a textile recycling bin. A charity based in Scotland called Smalls for All. So it's all words written, and if you just type it into Google, I just typed it just now and it comes up, Smalls for All, Scottish-based charity, and you can send them your old bras. So send them while they're still in decent nick, you know, like obviously you've got your use out of them, but they're not falling to pieces. Send them the bras, and then they send them overseas to people in countries where if you don't have a bra, you're more likely to be sexually harassed. So having bras in certain parts of the world is seen as like a sort of a status symbol. So as in, if a girl, a woman is to be wearing a bra, it is a sign that, I don't really understand the whole concept of it, because obviously nobody deserves to be sexually harassed whatever underwear they've got on, but it gives that sort of status. So Smalls for All take old bras. The next one is about pots of goo. So what I mean by this is, like, I always find that I hoard things like products, face creams, bubble baths, and I'm like, oh, I don't use this very often and I'm sure I will use it in the future. And then I've got loads and loads of those things that I have never used. So I'm just coming around to the fact that I'm like, yeah, I haven't used this in 2-3 years. It's probably going off. I should probably get rid of it. The Body Shop have recently started taking these kinds of pots back. So you can take your pots from these kinds of potions and lotions. When they're cleaned, fully cleaned, you can take them to Body Shop and you can just drop those items into their recycle boxes. Don't take along anything that you can recycle at home, nice and easily. The idea is that you're recycling those things where they are made up of different types of plastics, which means it's really hard to recycle. So if you think about a soap dispenser and about how the bottle where the soap is actually a different plastic to the lid, which is a different plastic to the pump, and then inside there is that spiral sort of springy thing to help it pump. All of these different complex different plastics, and what I mean by different plastics is each plastic has a number associated with it which describes the type of plastic it is, like the type of oil it's made up of. And in a pump container like that, there are lots of different types of plastics. So by giving your item to the Body Shop, they are going to separate the plastics out and recycle it more responsibly than if you are just to sling it in your curbside recycling, and the chances are it won't get recycled properly. A little bonus one on this note is that certain animal charities, so contact your local animal charity if you have mascara brushes, because they use mascara brushes to get rid of pieces of dirt or eggs, or to help out animals that can't clean themselves properly. Now, I don't know whether you saw online, I think it was probably about a year ago, an animal charity put out a call on Facebook and said, oh, we really want loads of mascara ones. And they were based in Australia, I believe. And then absolutely loads of people from all over the world sent their mascara brushes. Brilliant. However, they were then like, we are inundated with mascara brushes, and we now have enough for like the next 4 generations of animals that are going to come in to our animal shelter. So that is why I was saying, contact your local one, first of all, and say, I've got a mascara brush or whatever brush it is that you might have. Ask whether they want them. If they do, send them, drop them around, rather than shipping them across the world. If they don't want them, then you can put them into the Body Shop little bins for recycling. Okay, the next 2 are sort of like electrical based items. So when a light bulb has blown, you can't put that one into curbside recycling. So it's the same thing as that pump where it's like a mix of different things. You know, there are metals in there, and then there's the glass, and it may well have shattered. Have a search for your local council to see whether there is a drop-off point that you can drop the light bulbs off at. Sorry, I'm not really coming up with good words here. If not, larger B&Q stores take them back. So we have a larger B&Q store near us in Bristol, so it's just out the city centre, and light bulbs that have blown can be dropped off there. So my dad typically will like collect a couple, and then when he goes there to buy something else, he'll just drop them off in the recycling point that's there. Other electrical items, so there's such a wide range of electrical items that you could need to be recycling. What I'd recommend is going on the Recycle Now website, and just typing in your postcode and typing in what it is that you need to recycle, and then they will show you your local recycle point. So in some instances, if it is like a phone, for instance, or maybe a video game and it's still got some use in it, you could be selling that item on. So you could be selling it to somewhere like Kex, the computer exchange, or you could be selling it online. However, if it's completely broken, you'll just want to go on the Recycle Now website and find somewhere that you can recycle it. I have a story. So I think this was like a 1.5 years ago now. I went camping with my friends, and absolutely lovely camping trip. There were like wash facilities, toilet facilities. For some reason, I had decided that I was going to take my phone with me for a shower. I don't know why. I really didn't need to do that. But anyway, my phone was on the top of the toilet. This was after the shower, and I managed to knock it so it went into the toilet. The toilet water was clean, but that doesn't even matter, because by this point, my phone was dead. And I was like, well, great. I live a zero waste lifestyle, and I've just ruined my phone. And I'm not really someone who's up to date with like new technology, so I was really begrudged by the fact that I have to buy another phone. I was like, oh, what a pain, and am I just going to have to send this to landfill? No. So if you have water damaged electrical goods like a phone, go on to Music Magpie, so the website Music Magpie, and you can explain on there what the problem is with your phone. So for me it was water damage, but for some of, I think you could select like, oh, a cracked screen, or the charging point doesn't work anymore. You can go on there and you can explain what the problems are with the phone, and they will still pay you for the phone. So this awful phone, which I dropped down the toilet, I still got like £17 for it. Not bad. And I really did think that that was destined for landfill, and I was so upset at myself. But it got another lease of life. It got recycled, so happy day. Oh, I've just seen Barbara's written a comment saying Currys will also take broken electrical items. Amazing. So if your council, if the drop-off point is really out of your way, take it to Currys. Useful tip. Thank you very much. So I wear glasses, as you can see, and I also wear contact lenses. Contact lenses is another item where they are like the packets that the contact lenses come in, and the contact lenses themselves are different plastics, and there's usually like a foil lid or maybe a plastic lid on them. To recycle those, Boots currently take back lenses, so they can be the daily disposable contact lenses, the weekly, monthly, whatever it is that you use, they take them back. I recently went in and asked at Specsavers, and unfortunately they don't take any back just yet, but yeah, you can just drop them in at any Boots. You can also donate your old glasses to Boots and to most other opticians, like even the independent ones that I've seen around. I usually can see a sign where they're like, oh, we'll take back your old glasses. There is also a brilliant online social enterprise called Retrospect, and they take back old glasses, and their whole business is to recycle old glasses, put new lenses in, and send them back out to other people. So whilst they do donate their glasses abroad for people who don't have local opticians like we do, they also try and just recycle them within the UK as well. So if you are on the lookout for a new pair of recycled glasses, hop on there. And also if you've got ones to donate, you can go on there too. Sorry, my notes are just like here, so I'm just making sure I get them all in. Okay, so my last one is about towels and bedding. And I guess this kind of also covers other items of clothing where you know that you can't donate them. So you've probably seen like fabric recycle bins in car parks. And I was discussing this with my friend the other day, and I just thought that I would share where that kind of textile waste goes. So when you drop it into those big bins, the fabric gets collected and turned into rags for cleaning machinery. So it is literally like the end of use, end of life for those fabrics. They just get sort of shredded up. They don't really get, well, they don't get broken down into their fibre content. So it is really hard work to recycle fabrics. It's virtually impossible to get them back into their original state. And fabrics such as polyester can take up to 200 years to biodegrade if it's in a landfill. And whilst natural fibres are better, they can be very intensive in terms of the process when they are made. So a lot of water is wasted to create cotton, for instance. And even when they decompose, they release methane, which is contributing to greenhouse gases. So I just wanted to explain that that's where that kind of textile waste ends up. A good way to give fabrics like towels or bedding, which has completely come to its end of life, like as in I'm meaning nobody else could use it, you're not creative or know anyone who is creative and who would want that fabric, speak to your local animal shelter again, because they typically need bedding and they need towels to wipe down the animals, like the dogs. Have a chat with them before you drop off sort of this soiled bedding or, you know, completely threadbare towels. Have a chat with them and see whether they want to use the towels and the bedding beforehand, so you can give your fabric a new, like an extra life basically, before it gets recycled. So those are my 9 items. Oh no, I've missed one. Sorry, I missed one off. If anyone was counting, sorry. So my final one is about elastic bands. So elastic bands you can obviously reuse at home nice and easily. But for some reason I have become inundated with elastic bands. So what I did to give them another lease of life, like I basically didn't need all the elastic bands I had. I must have like collected them from various different jobs I was doing, and then I already had like a packet from back in the day, pre-zero waste days, and I was like, I just there are not enough things that I need to bind together with an elastic band. So I took them along to my local market and I gave them to some of the vendors. So the guy who sells eggs, he typically will put an elastic band around the egg box, and some of the guys who were selling like carrots and kale and things like that would bind up their veg with an elastic band. And I was just like, I've got loads, can I give you some? And he was like, sure. But yeah, obviously you can use those at home. You're probably not going to be someone who's like, I want to just throw them all in the bin. But if you do want to clear some space, then that is where I gave my elastic bands. So those are my 9 items, how to recycle them. So the idea was that they're not like the typical ones where you know exactly where to recycle them. If, like Barbara, you've got any other tips for anything that I've already covered, any different ideas you have about reusing, about recycling any of these items, drop them in the comments so everybody else can see them. I wish you a happy clear out if that's what you're going to do. I'm not saying by any means that you have to be zero waste, but if you're so inclined, then these are some tips to mean that you are not just throwing items into the landfill that could be recycled or could be used by someone else. So thanks for joining me, and I will speak to you next week. Have a fab week. Bye bye.